Yo, listen, it's a brand new week, a new batch of things to unpack, and she's here to explain it all. One time for my homie, legally hyped, and it's time to believe the hype. What up, Queen?
Good morning. How are you?
We're doing great. I wish we could say Brittney Griner was doing great. If Let My People Go was a person, it would be her. What is the latest, and what can we do stateside to try to get her home?
Yeah, okay, so boom with Brittney Griner. So she is supposed to start her trial on the 1st, which is tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, in Russia for her alleged drug transfer, whatever they're trying to say that she had an abundance of vapes or something, hashes, whatever the oil is illegal in Russia and they not having it out there. And so on top of that, they have extended her detention until December. So we know that here in the States, the House of Representatives have passed legislation or they've passed some sort of like bipartisan act to try to help get her home because they have basically classified her as wrongfully detained, which means from the US perspective, we can negotiate for her release, right?
Right.
But now she's going to trial, which is kind of scary because in Russia, maybe less than 1% of people who face a criminal trial there are acquitted. And even with that, unlike in the US where you got one bite out the apple, right? If you are acquitted, that's it. The state tried, it's over with. In Russia, you can be acquitted and that can be appealed. So there's a lot
Damn.
of complicated, issues going on with her case right now. I know her wife did an interview not too long ago and was saying, she's going to make sure she has representation. I believe her wife actually just graduated from law school. So that's good. She'll at least be up, in the know on what's going on with her. But this is a very complicated situation for Brittney right now.
So how true is it the fact that they said, because we've seen certain people, they swapped out prisoners, and we've seen that happen with Russia. When we give them back one of their people, they give us one of ours. Now, there was a rumor going around that she may be getting swapped out for a man that they refer to as the Merchant of Death. He's an arms dealer who was sentenced to 25 years for selling guns to people to get rid of to kill United States citizens. How true is that? And how is it that we're swapping her out, or they potentially are for somebody that is pretty much a murderer?
Okay, so the reality is with that one, those type of negotiations, they're going to be kept hush hush, right? Because if that gets too much in the media, it taints the negotiation process. The reality is with Russia, because of the war and everything that's going on, they are going to play hardball. And so it doesn't really matter what the crime is, right? Because a crime to us, the level of crime to us can be different than what it is over there in Russia. You know what I mean? So if they feel like, her possession of these vapes or allegedly, right, is an extreme crime to them, and we feel like, oh, well, it's not equivalent to somebody who came over here with selling guns or killing people, that's irrelevant in terms of how they want to negotiate. So again, the negotiation process, they are very complicated, and most likely are going to be kept under wraps as best as possible.
Now, we've seen in the past legally hype, where the president sometimes can get involved and move some things around. You saw with ASAP Rocky when he got bagged up in Switzerland. Now, granted, Switzerland is not Russia. These guys are some goons out here. Do you think Biden or maybe even Kamala Harris might get involved and be like, yo, come on, man, y'all wildin'?
Okay, so boom. So right now, the word on the block is that Biden and Harris have not communicated with the family much in regards to helping Brittney get home. My assumption is that they are supportive, obviously, right? But the reality is they have kind of been a little hands off with it. So we are looking at our legislators. Again, like I said, the House of Representatives have passed, bipartisan bipartisan law or whatever to say let's get Brittney home. We also have we have negotiators that do work here in America, so we're kind of leaving it up to them, or that's what it looks like, is they're leaving it up to them to handle that. If Biden or Kamala get involved in this, it will probably be a last ditch effort, right? We have tried everything we can do. And so now we got to call in the big dogs to try to put a word in and see how we can move from there. But so far from what I have heard, they have been silent in terms of how they're going to move on that.
And she's facing up to 10 years. How likely do you think is to liable to get 10 years?
If Russia has a less than 1% acquittal rate and she is facing 10 years and Russia's not getting what they want, it is very likely she can get those 10 years.
Wow.
And do every day of those 10 years, no time served, no good behavior, nothing?
So I'm not sure honestly about how their time goes there. Like this is new to me. Like I international law in that capacity, criminal law specifically, this is a new subject I'm actually learning about. So I have no idea what that looks like on their end. I'm learning new stuff every day, and it's scary. I can say that they don't have the same democratic process we have here in America.
Well, let's switch the topic up a little bit and talk about Roe versus Wade. This is one of the biggest topics that's been going on in the news lately. A lot of people going back and forth. Some people are celebrating. Some people are very upset about the whole situation. There's other things coming to play, from the Plan B pills being shortened up and all kind of stuff. What can you tell us of how this even happened right underneath our nose?
Okay, so boom, you have a very conservative skewed court. Okay, this has been in the works for years and years and years. Okay, when Trump got his 3 appointments, that swayed the court. We have 9 justices right now. You only need 5 to make a decision one way or the other. And so this has been something that the country in general has gone back and forth with for years, right? And so basically that's how this came about. That case in Mississippi came up, and the court basically ruled that, the fundamental right to privacy, essentially a woman's privacy or right to choose what to do with her body, that is not embedded in the history of our Constitution. The framers of the Constitution didn't intend for women to have those type of rights, is basically what they're saying. And so because they do not find that to be a part of a fundamental right of privacy, they have basically said the states have the right to choose how they want to move with this type of if they want to allow abortions or not, basically.
Wow. So, like, far as things that we can do at a state level, like there's, little things that come up that you could vote on. What can, people do to overturn it, who don't agree with the way the law went?
So the reality is this: we have to get very proactive in voting and getting in lawmakers who represent majority of the ideology of American citizens, right? There are more of us than there are justices, which
Right.
means we can definitely fight this, but it means being proactive and proactive at the polls, right? In every which way, especially these southern states, they have tried their hardest to minimize the vote, especially for Black people, people of color in general, right? Poor people. And this is an effort to allow them to stay in power, right? But we can overcome that if we come together. People who argue, oh, my one vote doesn't matter. Yes, it does. Because if it didn't matter, we wouldn't be where we are now. We lost your one vote. We lost your one vote when you didn't care to vote, which is why we are in the dangerous position that we are in now, where the conservative majority, right, they are making the laws in a way that keeps them in power and keeps us down below. And we can't have that. So what we can do, like I said, we vote in lawmakers who support our ideologies on what we want. We can make amendments to the Constitution if we have a majority in the House and the Senate, right? We can pass state laws, right? If you have a governor who supports your right to choose, that makes a difference, because your state can pass a law that says, you know what, we allow abortions in this state. Those type of things can happen. Granted, on a federal level, we may not have that protection because of what the Supreme Court said. But on a state level, we have a lot of options, and we need to go ahead and start using them.
I even read somewhere that there's certain things that you can't even talk about dealing with abortions anymore, or you can go to jail. So it was like something that I read on social media, not really sure exactly what those terms and things are of that, like whatever. But they were saying that like certain key words that you're not even allowed to discuss in certain states anymore.
Again, you have the right to free speech, right? I think the reality in this case, because I didn't hear that in particular, but the reality is that it could be dangerous in some of these states like Texas, where their law allows anybody, basically bounty hunters, right? If you decide you want to get an abortion, basically like they can sue you. You know what I mean? The recommendation is like in these trigger states, you know, specifically, and states where abortions have been basically wiped out, those little period apps where you was tracking your period, get rid of it now. Like, do not allow a digital trail. You know what I mean? Learn how to do it old school is where we're at with it now, because you do not want to fall victim to things like this. Now, granted, you know, President Biden is trying to put forth options to help support women who do come against this, you know, may have to get an abortion, you know, in terms of helping them travel to other states where abortions are allowed and things like that. But think about the 9-year-old girl who was molested by her deacon at the church, right? How the heck is she supposed to get from Alabama to California? You know what I mean? Like, let's be real about stuff like this, right? Think about the person who is maybe mentally ill and has been sexually assaulted by someone, and now they have been impregnated, right? How are they supposed to travel to a state, you know what I mean, to help them get an abortion? So, you know, this is really, it's crazy and it's dangerous, but yeah, we need to be very vigilant about how we're moving at these polls. And that's what I could say about that.
Yeah, because we remember back in the day, they were doing illegal abortions, going to people's homes, putting hangers and doing stuff like that. And we like, it's like, there'll be more deaths to me. There'll be more deaths with grown women or women that are doing that than anything else, and unsafely, you know?
It will.
Yeah, now the black market is huge.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reality, because some people are not going to want to carry, you know, a baby full term. For some people, it may be dangerous for them to carry a baby full term, but you will definitely see an increase in black market abortions, which is way more dangerous than having an actual procedure, where my understanding is that the abortion procedure is actually a lot safer than actually giving childbirth, right? So especially in America, where our infant mortality rate is high as heck, to say the least. What we don't want, like you said, we don't want people going in the back of, you know, Sally Q yard, getting hemmed up back there trying to get rid of a baby because she can't take care of it, or maybe she was molested, or whatever the case may be. And let's be real, like, this is not about killing babies, right? Like, the thing about it is like, this is about control and who can control. It's about population control, right? This is about putting women in their place and letting them know, like, who really got the final say in this. And for the women who are for this, right, who have supported this, y'all are super out of pocket and out of line, and your time gonna come where you thought you were above what's going on right now, and you will be in the same category as the women who don't have any options. So,
boom. Well, yo, real quick before we go, you know, I hear this more in like a public space than I do the court, but I plead the Fifth. And for those who don't know, we're talking about the Fifth Amendment. And apparently there's like some changes coming to that, possibly. There's some things that they're trying to move around with it. What's up?
Yeah, okay, so boom. So the Supreme Court has recently decided that you cannot sue a police officer for failing to read you your Miranda rights. So under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, you have the right to remain silent, right? Miranda was put in place, you know, because police officers, when they interrogate you, the law has said that they're allowed to lie to you a little bit to get what they need out of you, right? But you have a specific protection to say, you know, I'm just going to remain silent. I don't want to say anything. Most people don't even understand how that right works, right? Even if you do read it to them. So this is the deal. If you are getting interrogated by the police for any reason, you have to assert your Fifth Amendment right, which means you have to say, I'm not talking to you. I want an attorney. And then just shut up. Okay. Don't answer no questions about what you have for breakfast. You know, how your mama doing? Do you want a snack? None of that. Ask for an attorney and be quiet. You cannot just assert that right by being silent, right? Some people think that that is the case, that you can just go and be like, I'm not going to say nothing. No, you literally have to verbally say out of your mouth, I am asserting my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, and I want an attorney. Now, the court will protect your Sixth Amendment right, which is your right to counsel, before it will protect your right to remain silent, which is why you need to say both. But at this point in time right now, if a police officer does not read you your Miranda right and they should start talking to you, say you get wrongfully convicted, right? Like, for example, when my brother went and he was interrogated, before he left the house, my auntie said, don't say nothing when you get there. That didn't happen. You 15 years old and you got 3-4 big white man police officers talking to you and saying whatever, you are going to speak, right? That is why this is dangerous, because now there is no recourse, right? No financial recourse or damages is what we call them in the legal field, damages to overcome that if you're maybe wrongfully convicted and let's say your conviction is overturned. That also is very dangerous because it gives police officers more, basically more free pass to do scandalous stuff when they
break the rules.
Exactly.
Yo, they're the last people that need the ability to blur the lines even more, because between planting evidence, falsifying documents, and all the other stuff that we see daily in a regular space, man. So how can we put an end to that?
Again, this is going to come back to the states. So what we are seeing basically with this Supreme Court is that they're giving a lot of power back to the states, right? A lot of the federal protections that we had before, they are becoming non-existent. So now it's up to us as state citizens, right, to make these changes at our polls, to tell our lawmakers this is what we want, right? For them to put in laws in place to support things like there needs to be punishment for police officers who lie or who abuse their power and things like that. We can't depend on the federal government as much anymore because of the way that the Supreme Court is ruling on these type of issues.
Well, eloquently put as always, Legally Hype. Much love. Thank you for your time, your info, and the intel. If people want to check you out, where can they go?
I am Legally Hype on all platforms, all social media platforms, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Check me out. Follow me.
Hey, everybody be lying, but we believe the hype. One time for Legally Hype, y'all.
Woo! Thank you.
Appreciate you, love.
We are the Morning Hustle.